I've said before that boundaries are amazing. So today we are talking about what boundaries are, why you need them, and how to start setting boundaries for yourself. Boundaries is a topic I had to learn about the hard way because I used to lack boundaries and I was caught up in a cycle of always trying to please everyone, always trying to keep the peace, trying to avoid conflict, and always trying to just please others. And what I didn't realize at the time was that this was constantly my way of unconsciously seeking out external validation from other people. So I didn't realize it at the time. The truth is, striving for external validation is not a recipe for happiness in your life. You end up making everyone else happy, but then you're feeling miserable, feeling like none of your needs have been met, and you end up feeling unworthy and unhappy. So we're going to be doing things differently around here. So, what are boundaries? Boundaries are these limits that you set in your life around what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And we can have boundaries in many different areas of our life. Most people go through life without ever consciously deciding what their boundaries are, which is how we unconsciously fall into these patterns of having weak boundaries, people pleasing, and having low self esteem where your needs aren't being met and you feel unworthy. So, if you don't know what your core values are and what your limits are, and you're not clear on what is a non negotiable for you and what is important to you, it's going to be very easy for other people to take advantage of you and to bring you out of alignment. Not because these people are malicious necessarily, and it's not to say that they want to harm you, it's just if you have the weak boundaries, it's going to be easier for anybody to accidentally take advantage of you because all of us are so busy, so much to do, and focused on our own lives, let's face it. So when that happens, people may be making decisions and taking actions and saying things to you without realizing the impact that it is having on you, the way that you feel, and your experience of life. So boundaries are a really powerful way to start reclaiming your power, to start reclaiming your self-worth, and to start improving your experience with life, the way that you are living your life, being healthy, and the way that you are relating to other people. And it's so important for you to do this self-discovery so you can understand more about yourself, understand more about what your personal values are and what your personal boundaries are. It blows my mind that people can go through life without never really knowing their true selves. Like, isn't it so fascinating? Aren't you so curious to do more self-discovery work to find out more about the truth of you? So fascinating. It's important to mention that if you want your boundaries to be respected, it is essential that you are respecting other people's boundaries too. We must be conscious to create relationships where there is mutual respect and understanding. It's no dictation here, no dictatorial way, my way or the highway. And I'm going to share with you how to deal with conflicting boundaries a little bit later. So with the types of boundaries and limits that you want to set, they can be different in nature. So the core boundaries can be physical boundaries, how you are protecting your physical space and your personal space. It can be rules around who is coming into your home or who can come close to you and come into your personal space and have body contact. It can be emotional boundaries, these limits for your emotional and mental needs. So for example, if somebody is overloading on you and dumping all of this really heavy stuff on you and it's making you feel really emotional and you can't cope, then asserting a limit or a boundary of, I'm really sorry, but I don't have the emotional bandwidth to manage this at the moment. Or letting someone know what comments they are making and how it's impacting you. So for example, when you say things like that, it makes me feel really insecure. It makes me feel really self-conscious. I'd really appreciate if you didn't say things like this. These are just a couple of examples. Could also be these energetic boundaries, protecting your energy. Can be time boundaries, protecting your time, whether you're working and maybe someone's always running late. It's being able to protect your valuable time, because time is so precious. It could be spiritual and religious boundaries. So for example, making sure you have the right and the time to pray or to say grace before your meal, and having people respect you for your spiritual and religious beliefs. There's also sexual boundaries, what you feel comfortable doing and what feels good to you and what you would like to say no to, that big topic of consent. And there's financial boundaries, so using your own financial resources in a way that feels aligned to you, and people having respect for your material belongings. And these are just a few examples. Maybe some of this are already awakening you to set some of these boundaries in your life. Now, if you are a recovering people pleaser, or if you're finding that in your life there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of triggers, things that are causing you irritation or to freak out or making you feel uncomfortable, it's definitely time for you to get clearer on your boundaries. You need to know what your personal boundaries are and what is acceptable to you and what is not. And then it is important for you to actually assert those boundaries, communicate them. It's no good having these ideas of your wishes and needs and not communicating them. The people around you probably aren't mind readers. They don't know how it's making you feel and what needs you need to be met. So you have to be willing to communicate them. Otherwise, if you're keeping it to yourself, then you're creating these unspoken expectations which other people can't meet. A lot of people are actually really afraid to communicate their boundaries because they're afraid of conflict. They're afraid of disrupting the peace or having some kind of argument or having someone, look badly on them or be disappointed. And they feel guilty for expressing their needs and for trying to set these boundaries. And this is a problem because it leaves you powerless. So it's time to start taking back your power, to start standing up for yourself and speaking up for yourself. And it probably feels really uncomfortable at first if it's so unfamiliar because it's new. But it's a part of reclaiming your power. It's a part of coming back into alignment. And it's a part of you expressing your truth. It's important for you to be authentic, to be genuine, and for you to live a really happy and meaningful life. It requires you to be in alignment to what is true for you. Otherwise, you end up swallowing how you feel, pushing down all of that negative energy and feelings, and this creates tension, creates these emotional disturbances within you, and it can also create these unspoken resentments and negativity. So be honest. It is time to communicate your boundaries, to start telling the truth. Sometimes there is going to be resistance from the person you are communicating with. Practice standing your ground, communicating with the aim of finding a solution. We need to communicate to find a solution. Otherwise, you're unhappy and you're creating a potential for the other person to be unhappy too because you're secretly feeling resentful and guilty and not happy about the whole situation. So in order to have this communication, you need to get clear on exactly what your non-negotiables are, like what is so important for you to have. And you bring that to the conversation, you communicate, you find a solution. Sometimes there may be a compromise. So try not to compromise on the things that are absolute non-negotiables. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's getting home at a certain time to see your newborn baby. Find out what your non-negotiables are and commit to them. It's the most important thing in the world. This is your values. No one else can tell you what is more important to you. Only you can be the one who knows what is the most important thing to you. And where a compromise needs to be made, then let's try to do that amicably. Be kind, be understanding, be compassionate. And the more you're actually also respectful of other people's boundaries, the more you'll actually find that people are also very, very respectful of your boundaries. So it's important to, Not just think I have to have it my way, also be very respectful to other people and be open to having that conversation. It doesn't need to be aggressive. You don't need to be overly assertive. You can do it in a really kind and compassionate but firm way. Being assertive and firm, it doesn't mean being nasty. It doesn't mean being aggressive. I hope this video helps you to start reclaiming your power and your boundaries today. It's often something I go really deep on with my clients, helping them to set new standards, to get clear on what's true and what's really important to them, their personal values and what changes in their life they want to make, how to set these boundaries and how to create these more meaningful communications in their relationships, and actually how to start taking action towards creating that more meaningful and fulfilling life. So please like this video, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below what boundary you are going to start today. What boundary are you going to start committing to today? And let's create a beautiful community thread, inspiring each other to be powerful and embodied in self-love with new, healthy boundaries. I'll see you in the next video. Have a beautiful day.